So, hi everyone, and welcome back to D2C Breakdowns. And today we have a special guest with a very interesting story that I think many of you can relate to, and I think that can also inspire you, especially the ones that are just starting their e-commerce journey. And today we have here with us Mayo Santos, who's the Chief Revenue Officer of Revol Cares, and he's the driving force behind the brand's explosion and growth. And since I believe day one, we'll find out in a couple of seconds. And Mayo has a great story to tell and a lot of experience in the industry, and we would be happy to learn and to understand more. Hi, Mayo.
Yeah.
Thanks for
Hi.
being here.
Thanks. Yeah. Thank you for inviting me on. Yeah. I'm really excited to just share and have a conversation. So
That's why we're here. Cool. So, Mayo, let's start. I always like to start from the personal side of things and the personal story. And before we jump into Revol Cares and hear your story about that and your cooperation with your wife, which I'm a little bit suspicious about because I don't know if I could do it. If I were you, working with your wife, it's not an easy thing to do. I'm sure that you're getting a lot of these kind of comments. Tell us a little bit, like you were born in Nigeria, and then you moved to Scotland, and then you moved to Canada, and then you did door-to-door sales. Tell us all about that, like from early on, and how did you get to working with your wife on Revol Cares?
Yeah. So yeah, just like you said, started off, was born in Nigeria. I didn't live a long time there. I lived there till I was about 5 or 6, and then moved to Scotland because my dad's job, he was a helicopter pilot back then. And so, yeah, I spent most of my life in Scotland. Everyone always asks me, why I don't have the accent anywhere. I don't know. I can't tell
Yeah,
you
that's why I
that,
wanted to
but
ask you as well.
those where the accent is. But I don't know. I think there's like a couple things here and there that I say that it comes out sometimes. But I was homeschooled for 12 years. So I think maybe that has something to do with it because I didn't spend as much time with other kids. So, but yeah, from there in 2011, moved to Canada. Again, it was another like transition with my dad's job. My brother and I actually moved there by ourselves, with my parents moving back to Nigeria for, again, for my dad's work. And so essentially at 17 years old, I was 17, my brother was 14. We moved in to a basement suite on our own. And I think really it was there that, although I wasn't like going to go and work, 'cause my parents would, you know, give us a budget per month kind of thing. But although I wasn't doing that, I think that really helped me, understand like kind of looking outside of just my small, like, teenage world, right? Understanding how to pay the bills, phone bills, car, like, like buying gas and insurance and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah,
So
it's
it really helped
accelerated
me
growth.
figure out exactly. I think it really helped me figure out like, like if there's a problem in front of me or whatever, my parents aren't there just to solve it. So I have to solve it. And so from there, kind of, I don't know, like it finished high school, went to university. And when I started university, I actually I got connected with a door-to-door company that sold like lawn care programs. So it was both window washing in the summer and then lawn care programs like late fall and early spring. And so finishing off high school, I literally started just in my summers. That was all I was doing, knocking doors. Would knock all the way till September, till beginning of September. Go to university, knock over, like that was in Alberta, and then my university was in British Columbia. And so the first month or two, I would also knock because like, it wasn't quite winter yet. So in between classes, I would, be going off, and, all that kind of stuff. And so I really learned a lot of, I guess, not so much just the sales side of things, but also just really like time management and like, figuring out how to like put two parts of my life together. And so, yeah, I did that for a bunch of years, did longer stuff. I sold security systems, sold a couple other things.
And all of that
But
door to door?
I honestly,
All the
all of that
sales
door to door.
door to
So
door.
yeah, all of it door to door. And for me, I think I'm really at least just really proud of it because like just coming back to the idea of, I'm literally walking down the street, someone is having dinner, they're watching their favorite Netflix show or something. I'm knocking on the door trying to sell them a $5,000 security system, right? So it's like, it's quite jarring, that interaction. It can be, but understanding and learning the people skills of really understanding, like quickly being able to identify whether or not this something even makes sense for them. And then if
But
it does
how do
make
you do
sense for
that?
them, if this
I
is
think
something,
everybody's curious at this moment. How do you do that? Let's say I need to
well,
knock on a
I mean,
door and understand if you're
yeah, I
willing
mean,
to buy a
like
five.
really when it obviously you have to get to the point very, very quickly because you, they're in their own world right now, right? And then so you have to kind of break the pattern interrupt, right? Like they're in a pattern, they're doing what they're doing. If someone knocks on the door, it is an uncomfortable situation. And I wouldn't, if I'm relaxing at home, I wouldn't want someone just being like, hey, like,
Even
what's
stressful a
going
little
on?
bit. Someone knocks on your door, you don't know
Hmm.
who it is. And then you need
Yeah,
to flip it
exactly,
into a
right.
sell.
Exactly. So for like really on the doors, what it just really came down to exactly what I said was just like the pattern interrupt and quickly gaining rapport with the person. I generally like to just right off the bat just be like, hey, look, I know I'm knocking at your door. You're probably watching TV or something like that, like whatever it is, and directly address the situation. It's like, look, I don't want to take too much of your time. I just want to figure out whether this makes sense for you. And then call the one I'm doing. And usually it's just like, hey, like I've just been working with whoever down the street. They usually know their neighbor, right? Or they've at least seen the neighbor with the blue car, with the red car, something like that. They know that. And it's just like, hey, like I've just been working with, we're just kind of taking a quick survey of the area, making sure everyone is at least aware of what we're doing. If it's not for you, then you can just let me know right away, that kind of thing. And usually they'll just tell you like, okay, well, what is it that you're doing? Or like, if there's that interest, then that's the first step of being able to explain whether it was the lawn care stuff. We're like, hey, you see this going on your lawn here? That's the kind of thing that we fix. With Judy, it was this, that's what we did for them. Or if it was security, it was like, hey, I noticed you don't have a security system, that kind of thing. You don't have a sign in front of your house. In the neighborhood, we're seeing this, that, this, and that. And that's why people called us in. So we just wanted to check in with you guys as well. Really takes 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever it is that I say to kind of run through it. And then you guys can make the decision. It's all on you. So they constantly have the ability to, I come always giving them the option of saying no, right? They can say no, or they can say no at any point. So it never feels like I'm trying to like push things down the line for them. So I think that's really what it is. And then just honestly moving fast. Like for me, door knocking, it was always a numbers game. And so the faster I could move, the more clear I could be on each door. I could either quickly get in or quickly move on to the next door. And so at the end of the day, it's just like, it's getting that as short and as clear and direct as possible. And I think that skill of really like shortening that period of time really helped me with the online sales that with our product, and really understanding is it that people are looking for, what are the pain points, and quickly and concisely putting that across to people. So yeah.
That's a super interesting story. We're doing a lot of at Amplify as a tech software. We're doing a lot of outbound calls, and I feel your story is very similar to outbound calls, where you need to get it very quickly and be as transparent as
very
possible. I'm here
yeah,
for ABC. Don't want to take too much of your time. If that makes sense, let's talk. If not, totally fine.
then it's
I'm moving
fine.
on.
Yeah, move on to the next. Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
I really want to get to the point also where you convert this into the online store operation that you're running today. Maybe before that,
Hmm.
how did you start this brand, or your wife started it and you joined her? How that worked
Yeah.
out?
So I guess like the history about Revol is that it was really was the driving force behind it. She has a really heavy period and it has always struggled finding products since day one, right? Like she's always leaking. At one point she was wearing a pad and tampon at the same time. And, she would have to change every couple hours. Like having a really heavy period actually limits limits people's ability to live life in general. And I don't know if if you have a partner or if they experience that, but yeah, even as a partner, you also recognize that like the cost is really high as well. And so for her, she was in her final year doing her thesis project, as well as interning at Lululemon. And like at the internship, she leaked through her pad onto the seat in the middle of the
Wow.
open workspace at Lulu, and stay in this gray, like fancy gray office chair, right? So that is such a like drastic experience, right? So for her, her background, like what she was in school for, was fashion design and like anthropometric, like garment engineering. So all of that, she literally took all of that experience and all of that expertise and was like, I need to find something that worked. He had tried period underwear in the past, but all the companies that are out there right now are really focused on it being a backup or a lighter protection, or, that kind of thing. And so that really seemed to be the easiest experience, where everyone's already putting on underwear every day in the morning. So we might as well build something that works within that type of product. And so we just took it further. We found better fabrics, found better, I guess, design techniques to be able to kind of build it in. And that's really like our secret sauce behind the product. And so we really, as a company, focus on the 33% of people with periods who have a heavy flow, because right now that is currently like a $16 billion market that nobody is addressing. Not like none of the majors, they don't care, right? Because they're turning, they're doing their thing. Like
It's
as
like more
long as they see their
standardized, right?
5%,
The regular products,
exactly,
right?
regular products, right? Um, and for some reason, the industry just started off as just light bladder leaks or light flow options, or that, that kind of thing. And no one's really addressing it. So that's really where the direction that we're going in. And I think like that's really where we found like a lot of like hardcore customers who are really bought into our mission and our brand.
So she found the niche or the idea, or you did it together, or she started, you joined. Like, how did it?
Yeah. So when she decided to turn her thesis project into focusing on this heavy flow period underwear, it was like, it initially it was just this idea. She was working through it, finally just like made some for herself. And then in the class of like 40 other women, it was like a bunch of people were like, hey, I need this, I need this, I need this. So she would make a couple pairs here and there. And then once she graduated, she decided to like actually launch it kind of like as a little side thing, because it seemed to get enough interest. I'm just thinking about it now. If for me, like it's kind of interesting the way that she did it, because I don't think that there was like actually so much interest. It was just more of like the people around her seemed to
It
care about
worked,
it, and
just worked.
it was working, right? And for her, it was like she would start getting these messages from random people that she doesn't know, right? Getting messages on her Instagram, or someone would give her her phone number, and they would just text her and be like, hey, like I hear you make this period underwear. And so for
That's
her, it was like,
amazing.
okay, well, maybe if there's enough interest, then I'll just launch it. And at the beginning, it was just her sewing everything herself. It was, one person would text, she would sew it, take her 3 weeks or something to sew it, cut it, sew it. And then she'll meet them, in the corner of there's like just downtown here in Vancouver or something. And then just like, there was this like weird exchange with her period underwear, and it was just catched, right? That was initially how it started. And 7 months later, we actually met on Tinder. So this is when I was like in my last year of university, and yeah, she had just finished. And so she had just finished and then launched the brand. 7 months later, we meet on Tinder. And the thing that attracted me and initially was on her profile. She just said, she's like, she's this busy bee boss lady or something like that. And that really was interesting to me because I've always been someone who values independence and values, you know, taking things into your like
That
in your
connects
hand
back to your personal story as
to
well, to the
exactly
way that
right. I
how you
value
grew up.
that. So I saw that and I was like, that's really, that stands out to me. So we met and honestly, like we went on 5 dates within the first week. And it was just like from there we were just together. And that was essentially it. But what she first told me about the period underwear and the period company that she was running, it really stood out to me and it really made an impression because like growing up, I actually saw my mom experience really heavy periods and terrible experiences because of that. She had something called fibroids, and that's one of the conditions like PCOS, fibroids, endometriosis. Like one of all these conditions cause you to have really heavy periods, and she would be like my mom would be stuck in bed for days, right? Or she would. One time she went for a job interview, leaked in the job interview, didn't realize, and got a call afterwards, them asking if she was okay, if she made to go to the hospital, right? Like it was that was her experience. And so I saw this, and the only thing that doctors ever told her was the solution was just for her to get a hysterectomy. And so it's like there's
Another
nothing
loop
to help
closed in your
you.
life.
Exactly, right? And there's nothing to help you, and then the only solution is just take out your uterus. Like that blows my mind. But at that time, like that was the only option, right? So meeting Sarah, I was really like, I could see the benefit. I could see the way that this product could change those lives and change lives of people like even that I care about, right? My mom, my cousins, the
Yeah.
same experience. And so that's really where I think like it was almost like this super serendipitous like universe
Sounds like all the
collision
stars aligned.
situation.
And basically, you started a business, right? And maybe we can talk a little bit about the struggles at the beginning, because every brand at the beginning has some struggle. The first couple of sales sometimes
Absolutely.
even go pretty smoothly, but then you're trying to get from the early adopters to more to the mass market, or at least to your niche, and you're trying to do it
Yeah.
a bit more wider or more on scale. And tell us a little bit about how did you do, like from selling 5, right, per
Yeah.
week, month, to hundreds.
However many. Yeah. So right now we're quite a bit different from where we were when we started. And just like you said, we've actually had quite a rocky start to the company. We're 8 years in at this point, but I really would say a lot of our growth has happened in the last 2 years. So for the first couple years, it was really just like again, it was all handmade. We were making it ourselves because we have the skills, right? And it was you couldn't really get a loan. We don't own anything or whatever. So anyways, at the beginning of the business, um, the only thing that really could drive things for us was just putting in maximum effort. We neither of us have ever been in a structure where, and I mean, like I think you learn a lot from this, but I think we could have maybe moved a little bit faster if we had a little bit more experience. But neither of us had ever worked in like an office or a company, like a big company. Like she'd done an internship, but that was pretty much it. So understanding things at scale like wasn't really something that we had. It wasn't like top of mind just yet, but um, he was sewing a lot of it. We eventually got 1, 2, 3 sewers who would, we kind of made a bit of a production line because we understood how that worked. For me, my door to door experience was like, hey, I know that there's an opportunity to make more sales through like these like trade shows and direct to consumer like markets, like trade farmers markets type of thing.
Mhm.
And so we would just go to these farmers markets, sell the underwear and then go and make it. And that would be like the cycle. We didn't even
So
touch
like physical
online just
sales,
yet.
or not
Physical
online.
sales.
Yeah.
Yeah. We were, we were, we were physically going to different, like we actually bought this blue van, this electric blue Ford Aerostar. We built a booth in the back of it that also could fit a mattress. And we would just
Oh,
drive it around and sign up for as many like farmers market
you,
trade shows as we could.
did you do it with social activity as well, or like on Instagram or
I
TikTok?
mean,
No.
we didn't really even understand, didn't like that back then. Instagram wasn't like TikTok and Instagram weren't what it was. It today. Like today, now, if you were going to launch a company, like you 100% want to go on social media. Back then, we weren't even really on social media personally. So we had a page for the company, but it was essentially just like posting pictures of our product, right? So the only real way to get connected with our customers was the trade shows and the farmers markets that we would go to. The first year, we were like, we're going to set a goal of $100,000. And we ended up surpassing that 160K, which was like pretty cool. But we were just like, we're just going to go ham. And that was the exact same thing for me. It was just like, I know if we knock on more doors, we're going to make more sales. And so if we go to more trade shows and more farmers markets, we're going to make more sales as well. And so that was how it, how we grew initially. But I would say fast growth was hindered by that. But what I really think we understood from our customers a lot, like right off the bat, was like exactly the customer needs. Because that first year, it was like 2,500 hours each that we spent talking to people directly and really understanding like what are the pain points. The product kept iterating. And I think it was that aspect and not just selling something online where you have an idea, you sell it, and then, yeah, you make some sales, but is it really like solving that? Like, is it really solving the problem that people
You
have?
want to get the hard
And so
feedback and as
you
fast as
really want to
possible.
get the hard feedback, right? And the only way most companies use that is they would either do a survey or they do these like, what do you call them? I forget like what they're called, but a focus group. So you get a focus group
Focus groups.
together. Yeah. And I don't think you get as much information as you can rather than literally having a
It
conversation
also
like this.
depends how you pick the
And
people for the focus group. It's a big
exactly,
variable.
like there's so many variables, but when you just have mass ability to talk to so many people, yes, it hinders growth, but I think we really understood our product and what the customer needed very, very quickly. So yeah, we took that. 2019 happened. In 2020, the world shut down. And so we had gotten advice from the beginning of someone said, build your email list. So we would always have like a sign up form,
Even before you
to
went
get
online.
people, even before we went online. So at the trade shows, we would always give away 5 pairs. Every single trade show we were to go to, we'd give away 5 pairs, but people had to sign up to enter. And we had grown our email list to about 9,000 people at that point. And so when the world shut down, it didn't actually hinder our growth because we instantly just put a lot of effort into setting up our website properly, and then just started sending out emails of, hey, now we're an online company, so like you're not going to expect us
That's
to
also fast
be in
thinking, by the
shows.
way. It's not a trivial
Yeah,
thing that you thought about it right away. Okay, things are
switch.
getting worse here. We
That's
got to
it.
switch. The switch, not all the brands, far from all the brands. Not many brands thought about it right away. Some were delaying this decision because they thought it will just
Things will
pass and
change or
things will
something.
change.
I don't know. I just could see like obviously I think what really drove us quickly is like, because our strategy was as many trade shows as possible. We were booked like the whole year. And then very, very quickly we start. And the thing about those trade shows, there's a lot of people there. So these organizations were required at that point to like minimize the spread, right? So it was either cancel or implement all these super hardcore protocols. And so they all started shutting down. And so we saw this cascading effect of all these shows just shutting down. And so for us, it was very clear of
Like
what was happening.
black screen in front of you saying that that's it, end of the game. Yeah.
That's it. Exactly. So we had to do something. And so, yeah, so that's how we pivoted online. And I literally spent the next 8 months teaching myself how to run Facebook and Google ads and, doing the courses, watching the YouTube videos, testing. And for us, we had to be profitable right off the bat. Like the thing that annoys me about some agencies sometimes is like, they take 6 months or 3 months to try and like grow your audience and grow this. But like, we didn't have that. We didn't have that time. Like we had to be making sales from day one. So I think that really also drove me to be really good at our online marketing and understand how to leverage the different platforms. And so yeah, we switched online, moved to that, and then went over the next couple of years, went through the process of trying to build up our own factory to keep up with demand. And then that didn't really work. And then we tried to outsource locally and that didn't really work. And before we eventually just found a manufacturing partner who helped us move our production overseas. So our costs went down. We were able to get a lot more inventory to maintain growth. And then that was in 2021, 2022. We like things really grew like 360% online,
Wow.
just honestly by doing that. Now we have more money to spend on ads, right? And then the next year we developed a product that was a little bit more like mass scalable, and we moved that and started approaching wholesale. So I took the same approach. We went to all these grocery and pharmacy trade shows, and from there in 2023 was the first year we launched into retail. And since then we're almost at 4,000 points of distribution. We've grown up, about 150 to 200% per year online. And, within 1 year, we did our first million in groceries. So it was like everything, like I said, like over the last 2 years, I would really say
It
is when
explodes.
things have started
Like you worked so
to
hard for
started
many
really
years, and
grow.
now you see the fruit.
Yeah,
And the
it's now
result.
it's really growing, and now we're finally able to like pay ourselves properly and like all of this kind of stuff. We've grown our team. We did a
How
bunch
many
of
people are you
hires,
today?
so we're 14 people today,
14.
including Sarah and myself. We do everything in house. All our marketing is in house. Our design, our product development. We also do all of our fulfillment as well. So we're in a 7,500 square foot office / warehouse. We have all our like pallet racking and warehouse and forklift and all that
Amazing.
kind of stuff. So
Really,
yeah, they
that's super
grew
exciting
for,
to hear that you
yeah,
started from just an idea, a Tinder meeting between you, and you went through this entire journey. Hopefully, this journey will continue
it
for many
continues. Yeah,
years.
that's really good. Yeah.
But maybe you can share a little bit about. You said that you started spending a lot on ads in order
Hmm.
to grow. And how do you think about growth today? Like, where do you see the biggest potential for growth? Because eventually, you cannot just spend more and more, because also it becomes more expensive, and it becomes also the
Hmm.
inventory is limited at the end on social media for your specific audience and all of that. How do you think
Yeah.
about this balance between acquiring more paid traffic or traffic in general versus being able to squeeze more from every shopper that you're getting in? Do
Yeah.
you think about this balance in your day to day, or is it a
Yeah, we
challenge?
do. Yeah. I wouldn't really say it's a challenge. Like I think like what we learned quickly, again, due to the fact that like every dollar that we're spending has to like return us 3-4x, right? Like that was like the minimum. Like and so if something wasn't working, then we had to pivot and I had to hit those numbers, or else like we just weren't able to survive. Like we've been living on laser or like laser edge thin margins like our whole life. Things are like getting better now, but it's really like that's the driving force behind it. But when it comes to paid anything, the thing that we've really understood is your messaging has to be so clear. Like you really have to understand your customer. You really have to understand like what is the pain point that they're even experiencing right now, or are you able to? They didn't necessarily realize that there was that pain point. Show them what the pain point is, and then very clearly communicate how your product or your service or your offering solves that pain point. And for me, like initially with Facebook ads and everything, targeting and like really understanding like core customer and all that kind of stuff, like that was the main thing. So like the pain point aspect, figuring out who the core people are and targeting all the way down to 5,000 people in this city or 10,000 people in the city, like that kind of thing. With all the Facebook and Meta, like ISO updates and all this kind of stuff, things have really switched to now your creative is what has to be super, super clear. So I actually see a lot of better results just doing like with Google. It's Performance Max, it's Advantage Plus with Meta, it's Performance Max with Performance Plus with Pinterest. Like all of those platforms, their AI really understands their audiences very, very well. And so I think like if your descriptions are very clear, your messaging is very clear, your creative is very clear, it will get to those customers quickly, faster than I'm actually seeing that I'm able to. Like before, I was able to get to our customers
Yeah.
faster than Facebook by targeting it well, but now they can get to my customers
So they're
faster
taking
than
care of
I
the
can.
targeting. You're taking care of the
And
creative
then we
still.
take care of the creative.
Yeah.
Exactly. So that's the split between it. And then on the back side of things, really understanding the customer nurturing journey. So we literally have like like a 12, I guess, tranche, a customer nurturing process where it's like it starts from abandoned browse to abandoned cart, post purchase, like really building a lot of understanding, like who the customer is, taking them into our quizzes. So we get a lot of information about like what products they were using before, what their flow is like, age, like all these kinds of things, understanding who our customers, and then that then goes into like the types of products that we even recommend to them in the first place, types of colors, like what their interests are, like what other companies they shop with. So that's really like the back end of everything. Our and that has really driven our customer lifetime value up. It's cheapish for us to acquire a customer because our messaging is very clear. That average order value, because the product solves the problem for for what they're doing, and then our customer lifetime value, we're really like continuing to understand and get to know who our customer is and serving them with the right products rather than constantly blasting our email list with just everything that
No,
it is that we
segmentation
offer and
is
hoping that it
everything.
sticks. Yeah.
And in terms
So
of suggesting them more products once they land on your website, how do you do that? Like within the session and post the session. Let's say you grab
so
you,
so
you,
so
you
we
got
have
someone on
all
the
of
website.
our yeah, we have like different categorizations to our like we have different categorizations to the different products that we offer. And so really they're like a mid flow range customer. We also understand like what their price point, kind of thing is. We know what types of offers to to send them, whether it's a buy something, get something, or whether it's a deep discount percentage, or whatever.
But
Maybe it's like
all of that, all of that is through emails. I'm just trying to make it clear for audience.
yeah, exactly.
Only
All of
email.
that is
But
through
before
email.
the email,
Yeah.
like within the session, once someone lands on your website in your store,
Okay.
like how do
Yeah.
you make sure that they will grab as many products as possible and add it to the cart and check out with the highest AOV possible for you? Do you optimize
Yeah.
AOV today?
For us, it's just clearly like segmenting our products into what we've identified as the general different like absorbency or requirement classification. So generally, a lot of like super heavy flow products it's all in one section. Our mid range products are all in one section, and then our more like light frisky, whatever, people who care about like seamless, like all that kind of stuff, like that's all in another section. So people are easily able to find the things or shop by what
By
their
theme.
needs are.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And see the themes there. So I think that's really for us where what makes it clear for customers and what is that they're looking for coming onto the website initially. And I guess like to kind of add to that, like we generally don't like to send people just directly to our hero page. It's either a customized landing page or specifically a product page based off of the type of creative it is that they're clicking on. Because if they're clicking on creative and then now they're just like on the hero page, there's not necessarily a specific, I guess, like message, like
Yeah.
from what it is
Offering.
that they're clicking on.
Yeah,
There's
they
not
lose the
no
intent.
specific
The intent, you just
offering.
break the
They
intent.
lead exactly. So
Fine.
So that's really what we're trying to maintain through the customer journey.
What about like
Yeah, and I think
sales and product discovery and all of that? Bundling, like are you doing these kind of things to increase your AOV?
people actually just, we have bundles and things like that on our website, but people actually don't, like, bundles are not a big like driver for, like, a lot of our customers just directly go to like picking the products that they actually want. Like, we don't have, like, it's all so custom, like it seems from the customer, like from the customers that are coming to the website, that we're we would have so many different views and so many different types of bundles if we were trying to cater to everyone. So we have our standard, like, buy three, get like 15% off or whatever. So people generally are building their carts through 3+2 or 3+1, something like that. And that's really how, like, I think, like, we're able to maintain our average order value where it's at.
Got it. No, what we see a lot is that, and now it becomes very popular, is to build your own bundles. So instead of creating bundles for them, what
Yeah,
many brands are doing is they basically just say, "Hey, here are all the products that you can build a bundle from. You pick the 3, 4, 5 that you want,
that you
and
want.
it's
Yeah.
just cool." That's an extremely interesting story. And I think this is extremely inspiring, especially to me, like the fact that you met your wife and you started building two relationships, like a personal
Yeah.
relationship and a work relationship. And always the
Yeah.
story of we started in our small room, we were manufacturing it manually with our own hands. And then we moved to a factory and the trade shows and how it grows is just, it always inspires. I'm as a founder, I'm not doing retail or D2C myself, but we're
Yeah.
building software. I can relate to it, and I know how it feels when you start with a small room with your partner and you're trying to figure
And
out
that's
stuff,
it.
and it grows,
Yeah.
and suddenly you see that people are willing to pay for what you build and people are actually interested in this, and
Mhm.
it's an incredible feeling, and it's incredible to hear it from a totally different angle, totally different.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
All right, Mayo, anything else that you would like to share from your side with our audience here before we end this episode?
Yeah. I mean, like, I think, um, if there's really anything that is always like a guiding light for me, it's just, at the end of the day, like, if you're growing something that you really believe in, I think that's really where everything needs to be stemmed from, right? Like, if we can get the idea or the vision of, like, what we're trying to see with our customers so clear, there shouldn't be anything really that, I guess, like, hinders you from that, regardless of what people say or whatever, whatever your industry is. Like, if you can see that and it's clear within your mind and, you know, in your heart, then
Mm.
yeah, I'm like, I honestly, like, getting it clear, like, if it becomes so real, and there shouldn't be anything that stops you. So I think that's
It's
the only
about
thing that I
passion at the
ever
end.
liked
It's about passion.
about passion, for sure.
All right, Mayo, thanks a lot for being here today with us, and I appreciate your time. And the stories are amazing, and I'm sure that we'll get a lot of comments, and maybe we'll even get a couple of questions about this episode. And thank you, and let's see your brand continues to grow and just continue to inspire us and others. So thank you
Thank
again.
you. Yeah,
All
thank
right,
you.
guys.
Have a good
See you
day.
guys. Thanks for watching, and see you on the next episode. Bye.